Secure, contain, protect. These are the guiding principles of the ever-popular Foundation, an organization that is entrusted with the task of containing anomalous objects, entities, and phenomena. You all very well know that SCPs can range from cuddly and cute to dangerous and demonic, with some exhibiting all of the previous traits. These SCPs are all contained for a reason, some being more heavily guarded than others for obvious reasons. Some are so dangerous that they could totally alter the way our world works if ever to slip through the iron grip of the Foundation. Now, we've talked before about SCPs that could end the world and ones that we'd rather keep locked up, but today we're talking about ones that can never escape. The consequences would be treacherous indeed. Hello horror heads, and welcome back to the spookiest SCP sighting channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your newest horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're counting down the top 5 SCPs that can never escape. Before we get started, make sure to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe if you want more SCP content. Let's get started. Number 5. SCP-1048. Do you remember your childhood teddy bear? What did it look like? Did you wish that it would walk around with you and play with you? Well, this SCP might have been exactly what you were looking for. Just be thankful that you didn't actually have this toy as a kid. SCP-1048 is a small teddy bear around 33 centimeters in height. There doesn't seem to be anything differentiating it from a regular teddy bear except for one thing: it can move on its own. It walks around and communicates through a small range of gestures. Affectionate and endearing to people it encounters, it likes to give people little hugs on the leg, likes to dance and jump in place, and it's been known to draw childlike pictures. Direct communication has yet to be successful, and although it will answer yes or no questions, it will not react to lines of questioning about its nature or its origin, nor will it use its artistic abilities to communicate anything beyond showing affection. Seems pretty cute and nice, right? Why should we be worried about this one escaping? Oh, that's right, because it's actually terrifying and bloodthirsty. At one point, this teddy bear was actually classified as safe, but has since been reclassified to the extremely dangerous Keter. About 7 months after being secured, anomalous behaviors started to be observed. It constructed crude replicas of itself using various materials without anyone's knowledge. Some believe that it used its endearing qualities to lull those around it into a false sense of security. Currently, we know about 3 of its creations, designated SCP-1048-A, B, and C. The behavior of these replicas is different from the original, as they all exhibit extreme violence towards humans. 1048-A is a teddy resembling the original, but disgustingly enough, is comprised entirely of human ears. You heard me right, it is a teddy b-ear. When discovered by a group of people at the containment site, 1048-A emitted a high-pitched shriek, hurting the eyes and ears of all nearby. Ear-like growths then started to form all over the bodies of people nearby, and anyone affected died of asphyxiation within 3 minutes. The asphyxiation is caused by a multitude of ear-shaped growths suddenly developing in the mouth and trachea of all the victims. That has to be one of the grossest ways to go. I bet there's tiny little earwax in there too. Ugh. 1048-C is a little guy made up of rusted metal scraps that has been witnessed killing and maiming multiple Foundation members. A report from a doctor on the scene stated, "I cannot stress this enough. The damn thing jumped through those poor people. A rusty scrap bear blasting through your chest cavity. Yikes." I don't even want to discuss 1048-B as it is so extremely disturbing, like seriously. The information about this one is actually being withheld from survivors of this incident that are undergoing therapy because it's believed to be something that will be highly detrimental to their recovery. The link to this SCP is in the description, so if you're still curious, you can read it yourself, but don't say I didn't warn you. As of right now, 1048 and its counterparts are nowhere to be found, but it is suspected to be somewhere within Site-24. Let's just hope that it doesn't sneak its way out and find more materials to work with. I'll leave this one with one more quote from Dr. Carver. "This is not a joke. We have no idea what SCP-1048's full capabilities are. Who knows how many of the damn things are out there by now." Number 4. SCP-902. This one is a perfect example of the old saying, innocence is bliss. Relegated to the Arctic base Theta-12, it is the only SCP to be contained at this site. There are 50 security personnel keeping watch at all times, and no research is to be done on this object. It is considered imperative that only a very limited number of senior Foundation staff know about this. It is so dangerous that in the event of a security breach, the whole facility will be demolished by way of hydrogen bomb. That is some serious security. The item itself is what appears to be an ammunition box roughly the size of a human head. It's made of lead, and the composition of the item inside it is unknown. It's constantly ticking, and anyone who hears this becomes convinced that the item is counting down to something. When it's opened, it appears empty, but the ticking continues. Anyone who becomes aware of SCP-902 immediately becomes convinced that it is horribly dangerous and needs to be destroyed as soon as it finishes counting down. Staff who are exposed to the box will try to open and close it over and over again, looking for the item inside. The end of the report on this item actually implies that even knowing about this box will doom someone to a form of madness. It reads, "There is no object." There is an object. It has to be destroyed when the countdown stops. We are doing great work. We have to be stopped. Looks like the box has already implanted its mind hooks firmly into that report writer. Suppose that means that I've been exposed to this box as well. And now that I've made this video, so have you. Can anyone else hear that? That ticking? Oh, it can't be me, I'm wearing a digital watch. I mean, we should go find that box. Who's with me? Number 3, SCP-4480. I always knew that snake oil salesmen were trouble, but this SCP brings it to a whole other level. SCP-4480 is a humanoid entity able to adjust its appearance and produce identification at will. It is known to have had influence over many bureaucratic structures throughout the world, including the Foundation. 4480 is always selling patent medicine, homeopathic remedies, and mercurial substances with dubious medical value. So, like I said before, a snake oil salesman. The gender, sex, race, height, and other physical attributes of this disgraced doctor can vary based on the context of its location. I guess that means that it could very well become an Instagram influencer, hawking hair tonic and skinny tea. It will spend most of its time dormant, during which it travels to locations known to be suffering from epidemics, disease, addiction, and mental illness. Almost always, it will head to disease vectors like factories, shipping centers, or between offices and other bureaucratic structures. Often these places are where individuals sacrifice their physical and mental well-being for perceived economic and social gains. Once there, it will offer medical services to the individuals, sometimes helpful, sometimes harmful, and sometimes with placebo effects. This snake oil salesman really commits to the act. Once accepted by the community, it will begin an activity the Foundation has classified as VEX events. It will use its power to change policies and procedures in organizations to create dangerous and hostile work environments. Laborers will be deliberately exposed to disease and unclean materials. Once this happens, the diseases spread quickly in communities. Depending on the number of casualties caused by these outbreaks, SCP-4480 will gain an increased quantity of its medical merchandise. This could be the motivation for these VEX events, as Dr. Snake Oil over here has been known to self-medicate. It has been around for at least a century, and we're unclear as to how many bureaucratic organizations it has infiltrated. Currently, it's being monitored by the Foundation in a containment facility where it is believed to be acting as Dr. Sam Edwards. If Edwards decides to move somewhere else, the Foundation is sure to follow. Number 2, SCP-2628. I have a creeping suspicion that this one has already evaded the containment procedures put into place by the Foundation. I know a lot of people who exhibit symptoms of contact with this. We're all on our phones and computers so much anyway, and most people probably wouldn't even notice. SCP-2628 is a botnet comprised of an unknown amount of internet-connected devices. It is currently unknown who's responsible for it. Botnet intercepts and falsifies content shown to users of affected devices. The alterations are difficult to predict, but several major trends have been identified. Employment/academic opportunities and social gatherings are altered to seem unappealing or inconvenient, except when they can be performed mostly on the affected device. Content describing negative consequences of sedentary behavior and/or extended computer usage is deleted. Communications expressing concern or disapproval of the user's behavior instead express acceptance or approval. The utility of various activities that conflict with the usage of the affected device, example, sleeping, driving, and bathing, are understated. And services that enable greater usage of the affected device, like like online food delivering, telecommuting, and other utilities are promoted. Outdoor air pollution is overstated and indoor air pollution is understated. These are all things that would encourage the user to stay indoors and keep on using that device as much as possible. Imagine if all the concerts and parties and work opportunities that you were invited to were changed to look impossible to attend through anything other than your phone. Usually the alterations are believable in both content and presentation, but they do become more dramatic when the device is in use for an extended period of time. These phones are sucking people in and not letting them go. I wouldn't be surprised if it were actually brainwashing and staging people for further manipulation. Matrix, here we come. Heavy use of the infected device actually seems to heighten the mood of users, and there are severe withdrawal symptoms when one is forced to use uninfected devices or perform other activities. Modern addiction at its finest. Devices infected with SCP-2628 may be destroyed or kept for study as necessary, and any civilian known to have used an infected device is given amnetics and a replacement device. Somehow, these measures just don't seem like enough to stop the spread of this botnet. We all know how fast things can go viral. Number 1. SCP-2006. Before we can get into this one, think of the absolute scariest thing you can. Losing a family member, nuclear war, Lovecraftian outer gods. Have you thought of something? Good. Keep that in mind as we proceed. SCP-2006 is an anomalous spherical entity roughly 50 centimeters in diameter when in its default state. It has stated that its goal is to cause feelings of fear and or horror in as many humans as possible. It can change into any form while pursuing this goal, altering its shape, mass, volume, density, chemical structure, voice, and more. The extent of these abilities is unknown, but assumed to be unlimited. There is no way to damage it. Every month, it must be shown at least one new, extremely low quality horror or science fiction movie containing horror elements. All interaction with SCP-2006 must confirm that it continues to believe that said works demonstrate a superb grasp of horror. All staff coming into contact with it must also take an acting course with a focus on expressing fear and surprise. This is because it will attempt to startle and or scare any individual that it comes in contact with. After it's been satisfied with the fear being exhibited by personnel, it becomes affable and friendly. Even with its goal being to cause as much fear as possible, it's not so good at judging what people are actually scared of. It's constantly searching for new methods, thus the bad horror movies. It loves taking the form of various entities and villains from horror and sci-fi movies it has witnessed. Are you starting to understand why it only gets to watch really bad, not scary horror? The site director at Site 118 issued a memorandum regarding SCP-2006. I have been getting reports of some of the lax behavior regarding SCP-2006. Many personnel have been heard laughing at SCP-2006 during surveillance when it watches a new movie or when it attempts to scare individuals. Some personnel have been heard questioning why SCP-2006 is classified as a Keter entity. I am here to remind you that a Keter entity is a Keter entity, regardless of how innocuous it may seem. No, SCP-2006 is not a rampaging demigod, nor is it a regenerating super lizard. However, it possesses the same level of danger as any other Keter that the Foundation has contained. Think of SCP-2006's purpose. It wishes to scare people. Imagine what would happen if SCP-2006 broke containment and found out what really scared people. Imagine if it saw the horror and fear of war, or the concepts of paranoia or phobias common to each and every human being. Imagine if it found the true horror of a nuclear holocaust or an XK class scenario. Now, couple that with an entity that possesses shape-shifting abilities with no known limits, and you'll understand why it's classified as Keter. So think back to what I had you imagine at the beginning of this entry. If 2006 were to escape, it would likely find you one day and enact the very thing that frightens you to your core. And once it comes across the more existential fears inside humans, oh boy. And there you have it, the top 5 SCPs that can never escape. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Aren't SCPs so cool? Do you agree with my list? What SCP would you have added? Is this something you'd like to see more of? Let me know down in the comments. Before we end our time together, I want to remind you to fire a big thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Stay on your toes and be careful around your teddy bears. Until next time, stay spooky. Thanks for watching.